Hey everybody, we're the Ball family. Welcome to the Ball Playbook, where we are talking about the game plan of family relationships, raising us 4 boys, and telling the stories that are shaping us. And now, let's play ball!
Hey, welcome back. It's been a long time.
It's been a minute.
A
long minute.
A 3-year
minute.
3 summers ago.
The Ball Playbook is back in the game.
Yeah, we started a podcast 3 summers ago about family and relationships.
Yeah. I'm afraid Saren's introduction
Has stolen the show.
Is going to sound a little different now with 3 years under his belt.
Yeah, so we started a podcast 3 summers ago.
And decided it's time to get it going again. So, of course, we have some more information and some more journey and adventure and everything since then. And so that's why we thought it'd be relevant and pertinent. We just got back from Georgia. We went to the Global Missions Awareness Conference that Leif Hetland put on. And that was a lot of fun.
Amazing.
Got to meet Heidi Baker.
Meet with eyes. Yes.
Yeah. Well, we touched her. we got to hold her hand in our hand for a minute. So.
Oh boy.
And then we learned a new phrase that our friend Aaron Doyle taught our youngest son. Tell us about that.
That's called touching grass. And I had to chat GPT, look it up, because our youngest loves his VR and loves Xbox and loves iPads and loves all things internet and technology. And the phrase is go touch some grass, get in reality with the world and go outside and go play. So that is our new phrase in our home.
Yeah. So he told him to go touch the grass. So then the next day at school, one of his teachers asked him, what'd you do over the weekend?
What are you going to do for the summer?
Oh, what are you going to do for the summer?
And all the kids were saying, play VR, play this. And Saren said, I'm going to touch grass. I think he was trying to be silly. And I don't know how.
But they asked him, what does that mean, right? And then you said, what did you say? And he said, I can't tell you. So I don't know how that conversation went, but we're all enlightened to touch some grass from time to time. So, today's topic, and really why we wanted to jump back on here, one, it was actually therapeutic for us to have a podcast and to talk to each other about these kinds of things.
To look at each other's eyes and talk.
Right. And so we kind of have always longed to get back to it. But we are embarking on a new adventure of planting a church. And so wanted to tell people, especially some of the folks that we're inviting on the adventure, why we're doing that. And I think even as we talk about it,
why are we doing that?
We'll get clear on why we're doing that. So that's where we want to head today. And perhaps we start with a bit of backstory. How did we land on this decision? And I think for me, and I'll let you answer how you got here as well, but would say that this has been something that's been in my heart for a long time. In fact, when I was in kindergarten, I remember the assignment was to draw a picture of what you want to be when you grow up. And of course, I don't have much cognizant memory of that, but I do have the evidence, the picture. My mom kept it. And it's a picture of me at a pulpit with my hand up in the air and a Bible on it preaching. Mm-hmm. And of course, my mom thought that was the most precious thing, and it was pretty special. And so I think from the very earliest onset, seed in me was to want to help lead the family of God. And then, of course, my very first job and what I've done all my life career-wise is to help lead the church in kind of an associate role. And so have done that for 2 decades plus to this point. And I feel like the invitation has always been in me from God sovereignly to, hey, find a place, find a need, and go reproduce. And I didn't want to make eye contact with God. Because if I looked at him, then you're more prone to saying yes. If I could just not look at it, then you wouldn't have to come
wrestle with him for a long time.
Grips with the reality of what was going on. And God's so kind. I never have once felt like
we missed him.
Or that I'm sinning by not doing it. or that I've disappointed him
Yeah.
or made him upset with me. Never had any of that. And part of that's because I've been fortunate to be around good theology teaching and everything. But there has been this lurking thought of there may be more out there for us if you would just be risky and gutsy enough to take the yes of the invitation. So that begs the question, why did you not, why was I resisting? And as I get in touch more with that answer, I think it lies somewhere in people can be cruel. And I don't know that I want to open that door.
We probably need to read that book. Help, I'm dealing with people.
Yeah.
Or I'm working with people.
Yeah. And so I just always thought, if you don't have to do that, then why do it? Why not just help and let somebody else bear the brunt? It's like when a space shuttle comes back into re-entry of the Earth's atmosphere, you have to go through the atmosphere that's hot and there's fire and there's flames. So you have the shield out front, the heat shield. And I feel like if you're going to lead a local church, then you're the heat shield and you're going to absorb the fire. But what I knew that I just couldn't somehow get to grips with is that God helps you with that. And so it's going to be an incredible adventure. You're going to meet him inside of any of that and everything. But I really think that probably, which is kind of a sorry reason, if I'm being honest, to come to grips with.
Now that you're talking out loud.
Of why maybe I resisted what I felt like God was offering for so long.
Well, I felt like, too, just in our lives and the journey that we've been on in ministry, we've actually seen a lot more now. In the, like, our years of ministry, now we have actually, not that we've seen it all, but I feel like there were some refining moments, there were some growth moments for both of us that we needed to grow and learn. And so now I feel like the time is right. Not that we're done growing by any means, but we're secure in who we are in our kingdom calling and what God has kind of birthed in us. Honestly, like I married into ministry. Let's be real. Like
Yeah, it's the train you got on.
Yeah, this is the train. This is what I married into. But as I quickly realized that together we carried something that was really special and influential just in the people that we lead, the people that we are friends with, and our family. And so it's like, I always seem to feel like we kind of rise above, and it's like everyone's looking at us like to leadership, and I'm like, no, don't do that, and it's like God's like, no, you're it. Like people are watching you and your family, and so I feel like, it's this place of like humble, servanthood where we're like, okay, well, we can do this, but I don't know where I'm going with this.
Don't waste the opportunity that
don't
God's
waste,
given you, essentially.
Yeah, which is why we started the podcast and why we just
wanted to
really,
share.
Yeah, it's like
we're
our
discovering.
family is unique and has a lot to offer, and so we just want to bring you along the journey. Yeah,
I think it's easy to, and we've all been here, fear man more than you fear God. And the fear of God, of course, is an awe. It's an overwhelming inspiration by his beauty, his majesty, his size, his power, all of the attributes that he is. And it's really easy, though, to fear little old wimpy man. And so you pull back and you resist where there's actually opportunity forward.
Yeah.
And so that's, I think, what I had to come to grips with. As this is the only shot I've got this side of heaven to live my life. I'm not going to waste it. Not going to have the bill of regret find me later on in life. That you didn't take the great adventure. I was walking around the block. I didn't think to share this originally, but I think I will. I like to walk. It's the best way to pray for me. And Charlotte's Web jumped in my head. I haven't read Charlotte's Web in a long time. Hadn't seen the movie.
I read it in the 4th grade.
The story is fantastic. And I was on a walk, and I felt like I heard the Lord say that just like Charlotte, the spider in the story, she was about building a masterpiece, and it was her egg sac. And so when Wilbur, the pig, said, Charlotte, what are you working on up there in the rafters? She said, I'll tell you in the morning, but it's my magnum opus. It's my masterpiece. And so anyway, she does enlighten Wilbur, and what he discovers is that Charlotte, who saved and changed and transformed Wilbur's life, was actually reproducing herself. so that more Charlottes could go out into the world. I can almost get emotional even talking about it right now. And you see the picture of all these little spiders flying out on their webs. And Wilbur's like, are you all leaving? Are you all going? And they're like, yeah, we're out on our own adventure. And the great revelation is that there's other Wilburs out there who need the wonderful kingdom calling of Charlotte that she has, that she carries. And I think that revelation around the block one day, I don't remember exactly when
That
it was.
was when you had a shift.
Yeah, I think that was the shifting moment in my heart where God convinced me maybe that you've got gold in you. It's your kingdom calling. Your community needs it. We'll talk about that here in a minute. And so, again, here's the invitation, slid back across the table. What do you say now? And it was like this overwhelming, I say yes to that, Lord. So,
Yeah. Yeah. And I really feel like, to go back to you saying, God isn't disappointed in us and waiting so long, or it's just kind of just been this journey. But I do remember like watching you wrestle with that, and just us being on a date and me looking at you going, let's just not do it. Let's just take it off the table.
But we have to say no to it. Let's just say no.
Let's just say no. And I felt like we got permission from God to completely say no. And so we did. I remember us both agreeing, looking at each other in the eye and saying, no, we're not going to do this.
Yeah.
We're going to go and tell our leaders, we're not doing this.
Not in this lifetime.
And we said no. And then that's when you got
Yeah, it's like, God's like, oh, you want to play that hand? Well, I got a card in my hand too. I can play this one.
But he's just so kindly.
Right.
And it just, that's when you know it's the Lord, when he just continues to speak. He continues to give you dreams. He continues to light the fire. You're like, I'm not making this stuff up. God is speaking. God is on the move, and we're going to just partner with him.
Yeah. Yeah, right. It is the great adventure. So, and one last word before I move on to kind of the mission field of our community is to say that, I've done church work for so long. So have you.
How many years have you done it?
Oh, well, I got involved in 2001 with a church plant in San Marcos and at SMCC, and did that all the way up until 2018. So for 17 years, most of that being full-time, and learned so much, got shaped so much of who I am and what I'll take into our next season has been forged from that experience, and I'm so grateful for it. I think by 2018, I had maybe, I don't know if bored's the right word, but had just done it for so long and didn't have maybe in my own mind a good measuring stick of where we're headed. And so I just was like, I think I'm ready to close shop and move on and do something different. And that's when I think, through a series of
Wrestling with God.
Events, the vision got renewed and the decision got made to go otherwise. But I had told myself, I don't want to just do church as I've always seen it. And it's not that there's that much wrong. Sure, there's all kinds of tweaks and adjustments that can be made along the way with every church body and every church family. But I had just gotten to a place where I don't want to just rinse and repeat.
Right.
I don't want to just do what I've been a part of for the sake of doing it again. Though I think the more churches we can have, the better. We heard Heidi Baker this past weekend talk about some of us criticize, there's a church on every corner, and we just have so many churches, nobody's in them, and why are we?
She's like,
that's the look we're going for, is how she phrased it. That's what we want. She's in Mozambique. Africa and Mozambique, and they're trying to start churches, many churches. Get a church here, get a church there, get a church over here. She said that's the goal. So embrace it. Don't hate it. Don't criticize it. And I think that probably did a lot in a lot of our hearts.
Yeah.
But I just was like, I don't want to rinse and repeat and just recreate something that already exists. And so that's why when we kind of got a vision for this, we decided maybe we'll do a few things different. It won't look like it always looks on purpose, because it already looks the way it looks with some other churches, and that's great. Let's push them forward. Let's bring our own unique flavor and DNA to how. And of course, not all that's even penned yet. We still are trying to figure out what are the differentiating factors that will make us unique. Our je ne sais quoi is a phrase our friend Lauren Lowry has helped us with. And so that's all still to be discovered, but at least we kind of know what we're aiming at. So, okay, so that's the backstory. What's the front story? Where are we headed? We're headed here.
Where do we live?
Well,
we live in Kyle, Texas.
Kyle, Buda area.
Did you know that in Kyle, they have a day where they invite everyone that's named Kyle to come to Texas, to come to Kyle, Texas? That's so funny.
I know, and I was on a call a few weeks ago with a Kyle in Utah, and he actually brought that up to me when I told him that I was in Kyle, Texas. Like, oh my gosh, everybody knows about this.
Wild.
This must be quite
Yeah.
publicized.
So when we moved here in 2007, is that correct?
September
It was
8. Yep, 08.
Oh, 2008. Yeah, that's right. Right before we had Cohen. There was 5,000.
Yeah, I think the city limit sign said 5,500 on it.
5,500. What does it say now?
Today, it says, I think, 54,000.
But that's wrong, right?
Well, so the census comes out every 10 years.
Okay.
And so when we moved here in 08, it was actually the 2000 census. And so 5,500 was when they put the sign up in 2000. Then 2 years later was 2010. And then it said something, I don't remember what it said. And then 2020 came along, they put the next one up, and that's the one that we're in right now that says like 54,000. But our true population is about 20,000 more than that. It's all, I think 71,000 is what I had heard or read the last time I looked it up.
71,000
It's,
people.
it's as big as San Marcos, which is also about 71,000, which is the neighboring town to our south. And it is projected, now I don't have all of the stats right here in front of me, so this is from memory, but it is projected by this was a 2024 stat I had read online, I think by the U.S. Census and Bureau. Anyway, 2029 would have been 5 years after that. Projected Kyle, Texas to be at 124,000 people.
Oh, my goodness.
I mean that.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah, you can't even hardly fathom that. It certainly doesn't qualify as a little city anymore, which is what infrastructurally it had been set up to be,
Right.
which is why we've seen so many neighborhoods going up, so many restaurants, and some of the road changes happening. I know Dripping Springs, they put a moratorium a couple years ago, no development for a whole calendar year, 12 months, while they got all of the infrastructure to catch up to the development. And so it's happening all around us.
Right.
Part of that is because Simi Valley in California has now relocated essentially to Central Texas with the Samsung and Elon Musk and so many of the tech fields that have now landed in Austin. We were in Georgia, and some guy was shuttling us around in a golf cart and mentioned that we were from Austin. And then first he gave me the business for being a Longhorn fan because he was a Bulldog. But then he said, man, I've always wanted to go to Austin. And I just realized, man, Austin is on the map. And it probably has been for a while, but now it really practically is, in a sense that jobs are here, people are here, California's here. There's a lot of people here. I think 50% of Kyle's geography is still to be developed.
Underdeveloped.
So it's only halfway developed with all the land. So, I mean, it's just got room to go a lot further. Hayes CISD, where our boys are in school, has currently about 24-ish thousand students in it. And by that same 5-year projection time, that's supposed to close to double. I think around 40,000 students just in the district alone. I mean, 40,000 people in a city makes it just about a mid-sized city, small to mid-size. And so you're talking just the district. There is a Proposition A that's going to the ballot this month for $967 million.
Million.
Think
Billion dollars.
what you want of that. I know there's all kinds of angles to have an opinion there, but it is a mad scramble to try to make room
To keep up.
with all of the schools they're needing to build and the equipment and some of the Texas legislature, I'm starting to get off in the weeds here now, but the Texas legislator, I think, denied some of the funding. And so Hayes was trying to get, savvy on how they could actually not cut jobs and save money. The point being is there's a lot of people and there's a lot of need right here in our backyard. And not having to parachute new into some place where you don't know anybody and can respond to the need right here where you've been since 2008, I think really makes this unique and special.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's a good time to be alive in Kyle, Texas.
Right. I know that with all that growth, one has to ask, have the churches kept up with all that growth? And I don't know that I can definitively say yes or no. I have a feeling that probably the answer is no. And to nobody's shame, it's just that when growth happens that fast, something like planting a church takes planning. It takes years. It takes preparation. It takes a call of God and a response. I mean, it took me, almost 2 decades to say yes to the call. So not that everybody's that slow and maybe hard of hearing. But it just, it's a real issue that any city, community that's going to flourish and thrive really needs ample opportunity to know the things of God and be a part of the family of God. And what did you tell me on Facebook one day that our friend Trevor Atchley, who pastors Radical Church, said? I'm not on Facebook much, for better or for worse.
Even though your name's on there.
But you told me something, and I think it was actually kind of pivotal.
Yeah, he said SOS. He said help. He said pastors, or church planners, where are you? We cannot keep up. And he is a pastor in Kyle, and they're doing fantastic work in Kyle. And he just was like, broadcasting to the people. Where are you? Where are the church planners? Come on.
Yeah, there's
and so I showed it to
need.
you, and I think that kind of
Got my attention.
got your attention. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that too, besides the physical numbers and things, I have realized that there's spiritual need past just the physical and measurable need. And some of those spiritual needs, some of them are obvious, but even things like kingdom calling, which comes out of Ephesians 4, that has really been, and I know this is a weighty statement, a big-time word, but transformational in our own life. And Ephesians 4 says, at the early part, it says, I urge you to live a life worthy of the calling that you have received. So everybody's received a calling that's wiring from God. And if you can discover it and get activated in it, then you can be sent out into your areas of influence with it and really build God's kingdom.
Yeah.
We started talking about that with people around here, and I felt like there were a lot of folks like a cow at a new gate with just kind of their jaw hanging open and never really heard it put like that, and maybe had invitation for discovery like that. And that started, I think, ringing my bells and waking me up to saying, oh my gosh, there really is need. We've got some meat we can feed with to some mouths that probably are past milk and really ready to eat meat, but they just need some meat. And I was like, man, I think we got something to offer.
Yeah, and I think that our desire to do church differently is kind of just from, it's what Joel and Lauren have taught us. It's this apostolic head of like, we want to equip people with their kingdom calling. We want to activate them, and then we want to send them. And that's even in the job place or church plant themselves or on the mission field or whatever. And so I just feel like if we could do that, it's just, instead of rinse and repeat, we can equip, activate, send. Equip, activate, send. That is our heart. And I think that excites me. And people are asking, when are y'all planning a church? When are y'all planning church? Honestly, people were asking this in 2017.
Yeah. We're tardy.
We weren't ready.
Right.
Oh,
We're still in the cocoon.
Yeah. But it's like those people that have, so if you're listening and you've been one of those people that has said, when are you planning? Just know that it was a push in the right direction. Even though we weren't ready, it was like those words were super weighty, and we feel very called and honored.
Yep. Yeah, I love the idea of an apostolic church. And probably, I've grown up in the church all my life and been in the church. I'm not sure I could have given you a good explanation of what does that mean.
I love when Danny Silk always says, every time you think of an apostle, you think of an old man with a beard. And I'm like, I actually did too growing up in church. Like,
Right. But it means sent ones.
Right.
It's actually, you probably need to change your thinking of a person in running shoes or something that is like movement and going forward. And so sent ones excites me. And I love the idea of kind of what Bill Johnson helped so many of us with, saying, I'm really not after building a big church. I'm really after building big people.
Yep.
And I think another way to say that is people who know what they carry and are activated in it.
Right.
To be used.
Well, that's how the kingdom advances. I mean, I feel like there can be this picture of the pastor and, they get fed, and they just come every Sunday morning and they get fed, and that's it. And they just rinse and repeat. But when you are actually putting them in the game, putting them in the field, they're not sitting on the bench, they're actually in the playing field, then man, there's something to that, because like we've said before, I'm going to reach people that you can't reach, and then this person is going to reach people that I could never reach. It's like you have a calling on your life. And so to be apostolic, to have that thinking, to have that model is amazing.
Right. I always remember what John Maxwell says about half of your people in your town ain't coming to your Sunday morning
Does he
gathering.
say ain't like a little Texan?
I think he probably did.
Is he from Texas?
No.
Oh.
I don't know where, though, and now you put me on the spot. So
Well, it's okay. It's okay.
I don't think he's from Texas. I think he is from the South. I've read his book where he's told it, actually, before,
Okay.
but I can't draw it
think
up.
of it.
It's like doing math in public. Oh, man.
It's okay.
But I think actually the percentage he gave, I think I was at a conference in Alabama at Chris Hodges' Church of the Highlands.
And you heard him
and
say
he
this.
was saying this, that I
They
think the number he
ain't-
gave was 57% are not coming
They ain't coming to church.
to your Sunday gathering, no matter what you do. It's just, statistically, they haven't, and they just aren't. Now, barring a major revival and move of God, which, oh, come, Lord Jesus, and do that.
Yeah.
But that invites you to think maybe a little differently about, okay, then how are you going to go reach that 57%? Because we're not going to abandon them.
Right.
Didn't get in this game to abandon them. Now, you don't want to overlook the 43% that are coming, but you have to have a plan for 57. And, of course, our boys play sports, so there's baseball tournaments on Saturdays and Sundays. Saturday are seeding games. Sundays are the tournament game. And so we
And
might
that's a tricky one.
play hooky or something from time to time and miss on a Sunday, and we go see it, and you're like, my word, this is where the 57% are.
Yeah. They're here.
Now, not obviously all of them, but so many of them. And that is their church. It's their community. It's the people who check on them.
They do life with them.
Yeah, who know of their whereabouts. And if they hadn't seen them, they call and say, are you okay? They know their family. They know their ages. I mean, it is their church family, perhaps minus the one who matters most. And so I've really gathered, and you have too, I think, a heart for that demographic and that part of the populace. And so would love to figure out what does church for us look like to reach that group. And I don't even want to call them away from it because a lot of them have found
Because that's their kingdom calling.
yeah, and they're called to be a baseball coach, and they're called to be out there on Sundays,
Right.
mixing up with the masses. But meanwhile, I would love for God to show us how to get those people in godly community and around the preached word of God and learn what it is to be a worshiper and, like you say, learn their kingdom calling and be activated in it and be going for it and be
Right.
looking with their head on a swivel for where the Holy Spirit's working and join Him in it. And so I don't have those answers yet, but that's part of what jazzes me.
That's what our heart burns
Right, for this. And so, yeah, we're on the great, adventure to figure out what does that part of it all look like. And I'm really excited to discover that. Have bumped into a few people along the way who also kind of have a similar vein and desire to see some of those groups put into the mix of family. And so excited about that. I think it ties into, what we're passionate about, relational needs and kingdom calling discovery.
Yeah,
and,
just healthy families.
yeah,
all
family
around.
health, all of that. So, so what's the timeline look like? What's next? What's coming? And so just wanted to give...
It's coming.
Yeah, you guys kind of an insight into what the framework looks like. As we sit today, it is about the middle of May in the year of 2025. And so we are planning to be public with this church in 2026 in January. We will call it Sozo Kyle, or maybe Sozo Kyle Buda.
Kyle Buda.
We will be our own autonomous church as far as what are we going to preach. It's going to be in-house preaching, our own worship leading, our own community groups. Just the autonomy to be able to lead and guide and steer and direct as we feel the Lord's leading in our particular community. Meanwhile, we will have a good, close tie and tether to Sozo San Marcos, Joel and Lauren and the team that we are currently a part of. And in fact, if I got to blame this whole thing on somebody, it's them. I'm so thankful for it.
We love them so much.
But kicking us out of the nest and helping us, decide the whens and the wheres really has come in just conversation form with us over about a 2-3 year piece of time, really since 2022, dreaming with them. And so, but a lot of people have asked us that question, are you guys just a campus? And we're really not a campus. We just believe that each church, each local family and city has its own unique needs that demand and require its own care, its own oversight, its own pastoring, its own hearing the Lord and deciding which way to move. And so really thankful for the tether and the tie with those guys, but also excited to see what unique pieces go on with us.
And before you move on to our timeline, can you give us a brief, like some vision casting for Sozo and their Joel and Lauren's vision of just like how many churches, how many hubs, the hub, and then us being a part of that, what that looks like.
Yeah, that's good. So Sozo is a church with a lot of vision. I think that was very attractional for us. And so Sozo is an apostolic church. So we're carrying that DNA into Kyle and Buda. And so what that means is what we've explained, equipping people in their kingdom calling and then sending them out. So Sozo has a vision to plant 25 international apostolic hubs. International meaning not here domestic, but around the world. And we've already been up to some of those things, namely Japan and Burundi primarily, and some other irons in the fire. What's a hub? A hub is a church. It's a local church. But it's a local church with a clear purpose to do exactly what we've been talking about. Not necessarily to build en masse right there, though indirectly that might happen. And we're not going to start shutting the door and locking it and saying, what's the password necessarily? But we do have a clear mission and a clear culture. And so we don't want to get sidetracked with something else that's not on vision, So that's what a hub is it's a local church that is about equipping and sending the community right around it. And so also 25 local apostolic hubs.
Yeah.
To which one of we are.
Uh-huh.
And anything that comes out of us also kind of goes towards that number. And so I think it's helpful in vision to have numbers that you can kind of measure success with. I think any company worth their salt does as well. And so I think that that's been helpful for us to know this is kind of what we're at. We also use the number 10,000 to say we would love for 10,000 people to really know their kingdom calling by the end of 100 years or however long, maybe faster than that. We'll see how fast this thing goes.
It's really cool when you like talk about that vision, or when Joel and Lauren talk about that vision, and then you are like a part of it. You're like, wow, this is really cool. This is really cool and bigger than me and bigger than you and bigger than this. It's like, yeah, it's really neat.
Yep. Yeah, so we will, this summer, we've got a Sunday night community group that we lead monthly, and we are starting to kind of ramp that up towards just praying for Kyle, praying for Buda as we worship, kind of keeping that all in mind. I'm going to plan some field trips this summer, prayer walks around the city, and lean into the town that we feel like God's opened the door for us. And then this fall, we will start to gather a launch team of about 50 or so people is really the goal. And don't know exactly where all those 50 are coming from, have an idea. A few will come from in-house that we've been with in Sozo San Marcos that are just, hungry for it, live here. There's a number of people who live here. We've also found there's a number of people who live here who don't go to Sozo because of the distance. And you would think that San Marcos is not that much distance. The two towns touch each other, but you'd be surprised, or maybe you are one of them, who say, I just would rather not drive 30 minutes or 25 minutes to somewhere else. I'd rather just go down the street to my own community. And that's honorable in its own right. And so some will come from in-house, but I really feel like God's shown us some folks in the area of Kyle Buda to ask as well to get that 50. But we certainly don't have that full number as it stands here this summer. So if you are in the vicinity and listening, would love to invite you to consider, to pray, see if there's a nudge from the Holy Spirit and what that might look like if you're around the area as we start to build the team. So this fall, we would love to be there. We're going to do something called leadership development. In October is the plan. In Sozo San Marcos, we're about to get into a new building in San Marcos. We're really excited about that.
We're so excited. This happens to us every time.
Yeah, we've been a part of 3 churches. And
every time we're called out,
they get a new building. That's right.
So yay, God.
Yeah, so if Sozo Kyle that we plant doesn't have a building, we'll just go ahead and turn the keys over to somebody, and then they'll get their building, I'm sure. So if there are folks who join us to be kind of part of that launch team, would love to have that really start to take shape by October 12th when we plan to start our leadership development piece, which would be about 6 weeks long. And then in January, start in the evening, Sunday evenings is likely where we'll begin. Cool. And then find out what the jump to mornings looks like as the spring unfolds. So that's kind of the timeline and everything I know about the work of what's coming down the pike.
It's exciting. So we are so excited to share this with you guys on the podcast, and we will be sharing more updates on podcasts. We'll be sharing more about our family, and we'll get back into some relational needs and kingdom calling stuff, but we're just going to go for it and just want you to hop on this journey with us.
Yep. Yeah, I would say in summary, lean in to the uncomfortable leading of the Lord.
You're talking to yourself, aren't you?
Well, I am, and that's why I have power to give the encouragement here, is because I've walked through it. So I would encourage anybody to lean into what's uncomfortable. Also lean into your own kingdom calling, and we've got lots of resources to help with that. And then the final invitation is, if you feel a nudge from the Lord, whether it's to be a part of what we're up to, or simply from a distance to pray, and even to help give. I've never really been a part of a project where I've been asking people for money, but this is probably the first time in my life where I'm saying, hey, this thing is going to cost some stuff, whether it's rent or equipment or whatnot. And so we know that people love what God's up to, love what we're up to, and so want to just put that invitation out there. And I will do it one shameless plug before we sign off here. I did publish my first book. It's called
I'm so proud of you.
The Superpower Effect. Thank you. And it is about kingdom calling discovery. It's mostly stories from my own life of gift of faith moments where I prayed for something and saw God make an undeniable move on it. And then the back third of the book, it really is how to discover your kingdom calling. And so that's on Amazon, The Superpower Effect. We'll put a link to that in our show notes. We also have a newsletter that goes out monthly, and we'll leave a link in the show notes as well to that, where you could subscribe and keep up in written form with everything that's going on with us, whether it's this project or anything else with our boys, or otherwise. And so a couple of resources for you. And that's all I know about that. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for tuning in to the Ball Playbook. If today's episode encouraged or challenged you, make sure to follow the show so you don't miss what's next. You can also join our newsletter, the link is in the show notes, to get updates on Sozo Kyle Buda Church, resources for your family, and more ways to live out your kingdom calling. We're cheering you on. See you next time.